Good morning and welcome to our webinar, How to Do Business with the U.S. Bureau of Reclamation, California Great Basin. My name is James Forrest. I'm the Program Coordinator for Norcal PTAC. That's the Northern California Procurement Technical Assistance Center. It's a bit of a mouthful. We go by Norcal PTAC. And we're very happy to have Kristen Ingebrigtsen with us today. She is the Small Business Specialist with the Interior Region 10, California Great Basin, with the U.S. Bureau of Reclamation. So thanks so much, Kristen, for joining us. I will hand things over to her in just a second. But first, if you've been on one of our webinars before, you know I'm just going to talk a little bit about our own services and what we can do for small business owners like you in our region. So like I said, we are Norcal PTAC. We are hosted by the Humboldt State-sponsored Programs Foundation that is on a university campus up in Arcata, California, where that red star is. This is our service area, these 15 counties in green we've put on the map there. And we helped our clients in this service area win more than $314 million in 2020, which was just about double what we did in 2019. And we expect more in 2021. So if you want to win contracts, you've come to the right place. The way we do this is with three basic core services. We have one-on-one counseling. We've got a team of procurement specialists who can meet with you. Once you apply, they can meet with you remotely, video conference, email, phone, whatever works for you. In normal times, we have office hours in the Bay Area as well. Also for our clients, we have custom bid matching. What this does is you work out some criteria with your procurement specialist, things that you're interested in bidding on, and then they send the opportunities right into your inbox. So it's a really nice way to stay on top of the opportunities made available to you, so you can bid on those contracts before they expire. And the third thing, of course, are resources and trainings like these. So right now we're running a webinar. We do these regularly. They're always free to join. We do a lot of webinars, especially in the COVID era. During normal times, we also do workshops in person in different cities throughout our service area. So hopefully we'll get back to that someday. But for now, everyone is welcome to join. You can also find all of our webinars on our website at norcalptac.org/resources/past webinars. So if you want to get started with us, the only criteria are that you need an established business. You need to be located in our service area, have your business registered and operated in our service area, and you need to be interested in government contracting. So go ahead and go to our website, norcalptac.org, look for that red Apply Now button. Once you click that, it'll bring you to our application portal, username, password, steps 1 through 7, and then it'll go over to me and I'll get you assigned to someone pretty quickly within 2 business days. Just a quick note, we are one PTAC, and while our service area is large, as you can see, there's other places in the state alone. There are 5 different PTACs in the state, and there's about 94 PTACs nationwide. So if you're not in our service area and you're like, darn, I'm missing out on PTAC, don't worry, there's a lot of PTACs. Go ahead and look up your local PTAC, aptac-us.org/find PTAC. We all offer the same basic core services, but to different service areas. So I think that's about it for About Us. I just want to talk briefly about some housekeeping for this webinar. In this Zoom version of webinar that we're all joined today, we have a Q&A and we have a chat. If you look in your meeting controls, you'll see there's a chat feature, and this is if you want to communicate to the panelists directly, not for asking questions about that you read aloud, but if you have a technical problem or you want to say hello or something like that, you can go ahead and put that in the chat. But we will be having a Q&A later. I'll be reading questions aloud. So if you want your question read aloud, if it's something about content that you think would be beneficial for everyone, go ahead and enter it into the Q&A window. That way we can all track it and keep track. I generally won't be reading questions aloud from the chat. So one more reminder that we are recording right now, and the slides in PDF form as well as this video recording will be uploaded to YouTube, posted to our webpage, and shared with everyone later today. All right, I think we are ready to go. Let's hand things over to Kristen here. Kristen, thank you so much once again for joining us.
Okay, let's see.
Your video is still off, by the way.
Okay. Well, I tried to start it and it's telling me I can't because the host has stopped it. Oh, there we go. Make some adjustments. I turned on a big light and I think I'm going to turn that puppy off. Okay, thank you, James. So good morning, everybody. As James mentioned, I am Kristen Ingebretson. I'm the Small Business Specialist for the Bureau of Reclamation's California Great Basin region. And I'll show you later on a map and show you where we're located and the areas that we serve. One of my roles as the Small Business Specialist is I advocate on behalf of small businesses that are interested in doing business with us. And I'm also responsible for helping BOR achieve our small business goals by encouraging maximum participation in the small business community with our acquisitions. As you'll see later on, BOR, we've done an excellent job, and I can't take any credit for it. I actually just started with BOR. I used to work for the SBA, so just started with BOR in July. But in 2021, FY 2020, excuse me, knocked it out of the park as far as achieving our goals, which are in the beginning set very high. So I'll show you a slide that covers that a little bit later on. I'm also going to give you a broad overview on what it is that BOR does, what we procure, what we buy, and where we post our forecast and contracting opportunities. And I hope if all the gods are with me this morning, I can show you a little tutorial on how to go to our forecast and look at forecasted opportunities. Okay, next slide, please. All right, so there's our mission. First of all, I'll tell you, we're one of the bureaus under the Department of the Interior. That's where we fall. And I'll let you read that there. Our mission is to manage, develop, and protect water and related resources in an environmentally and economically sound manner in the interest of the American public. They actually just changed that recently. We didn't used to include related resources, but as you'll see, we do much more than protect water, provide water, that kind of thing. Next slide, please. All right, so here's a little bit about us, actually a lot about us. Reclamation was established in 1902. We're best known for our dams, there's the water, power plants and canals, again, another water conveyor, excuse me. We have 5 regions in 17 Western states, and that includes us, the California Great Basin region, Interior Region 10. BOR is the largest wholesaler of water in the country, and we operate 338 reservoirs with a total storage capacity of 140 million acre feet. And to give you some perspective, an acre foot is 325,851 gallons, and that's enough to supply a family of 4 with water for a year. We deliver 10 trillion gallons of water to 31 million people on an annual basis. And we provide 1 in 5, so 140,000 farmers with irrigation for 10 million acres of farmland. And that produce over half, so 60% of our nation's vegetables and a quarter of our fruits and nuts. So we have a pretty big mission. Let's see. We are the second largest. Here's the one thing that a lot of people don't know. We're the second largest producer of hydroelectric power in the Western US. We have 58 power plants that provide more than 40 billion kilowatt hours annually, which generates nearly 1 billion with a B in power revenues and produces enough electricity to serve 3.5 million homes. We are partners. We manage with our partners 289 recreation sites that have approximately 90 million visitors each year. And this contributes almost 64 billion, again with a B, into our economy and provides over 456,000 jobs. So if you'd like a little bit more information about us, there's a link to our website, and these are all hyperlinked in my slides. So when James provides you with a copy, you can just click on the hyperlinks there. Okay, next slide, please. All right, so here's that map I promised. You can see where the California Great Basin Interior Region 10 is, right there on the West Coast, obviously. We serve, starting at the top, Southern Oregon. That's our Klamath Basin. Oh, I shouldn't point, that covers my face, sorry. We serve Klamath Basin there at the top, over to northwestern Nevada, which is our Lahontan Basin, all the way down through northern to central California, ending up in the Bakersfield area. So that's our territory. Let's see a little bit more about us. CGB, California Great Basin. We actually used to be called MP. Oh, what does that stand for? It escapes me right now. Anyway, changed our name as of the last 2 years. So you should know us as CGB, California Great Basin. We were established 40 years after VOR was established. So in 1942 by the Secretary of the Interior. We're headquartered in Sacramento on Cottage Way. If any of you all are familiar with the Sacramento area. A lot of us aren't there right now. We're all working from home, as am I. As I mentioned, our territory, Oregon, Northwestern Nevada, and Northern California, down to Bakersfield. Next slide, please. All right, so in our territory, we have 6 area offices. You can start there at the top in the Klamath Basin. Down to the Northern California Area Office, Lahontan Basin, as I mentioned, over in Nevada, Central California Area Office, that's in Folsom, California, South Central California Area Office, and the Bay Delta Area Office. We also have 3 specialized offices. Those are the San Joaquin River Restoration Program Office, the Central Valley Operations Office, and the Willows Construction Office. If you do construction, any kind of construction that we procure, you're going to go through our Willows office. We also have 5 field offices that are located at Weaverville, California, Lake Berryessa, New Melones Lake, CW Bill Jones pumping plants, and then in Tracy at our fish test facility. Okay, next slide, please. All right, so I included this. This is just hyperlinks to all of our area offices. So again, when you get a copy of the slides and you want to learn a little bit more about the missions of each of these offices, go ahead and click there and learn more about the offices and all the cool things that they're doing. Next slide, please. Okay, so what do? We fulfill water commitments for ag and power generation. That's our hydroelectric power plants. We do water conservation, recycling, and reuse. We do this all while protecting natural and federally protected cultural resources in the areas that we serve. We also manage 11 multi-purpose water projects, ranging from very small to among the largest in the nation. That would be our Central Valley project. We satisfy our mission while balancing competing needs among water uses and users. And I'm going to let you read through that list there. So we have a pretty important mission considering we provide water to the Western US as well as power. And obviously don't do it in a vacuum, don't do it on our own. We need a lot of help. And so we're able to manage this, again, with the assistance of our partners. Next slide. All right, so Interior Region 10, here's a list of the partners that I just mentioned, state, local, and federal. We have 271 water contractors that we work with, and they're responsible for that Central Valley project that I talked about, that our largest water project. I want to note here that these contractors, these aren't contracting opportunities. We don't procure these. These are agreements that we have in place with different water contractors around the Western US. So there aren't any procurement opportunities here, but I just wanted to mention it. We also have 80 preference power customers who purchase hydropower. Created by our power plants that I mentioned through the power purchase agreements with WAPA, which is Western Area Power Administration. We work with several federally recognized tribes and other Native American groups, as well as many environmental organizations. We also work with other federal agencies to include U.S. Fish and Wildlife Service, the National Marine Fisheries Service, National Park Service, and Bureau of Land Management, BLM. We work with the state as well. Probably the biggest state partner we work with is DWR, Department of Water Resources. We also work with California's Department of Fish and Wildlife, as well as State Water Resources, the State Water Resources Control Board. So we've got a lot of folks that help us out and that we work with to make all of this happen. Next slide, please. Okay, so what do we buy? Starting with services. This isn't an all-inclusive list, but some of the main things that we buy here, I'll let you read through the list. I do want to note on this slide, it does not call out environmental consulting services, but it is included in one of the tabs there. And I'm probably going to say that it's under Earth Science Data Studies or the one below it, Professional Administrative Services. But that is the #1 NAICS code. If you're familiar with the NAICS code, North American Industry Classification System Code, industry code, that's what the feds use. That is the #1 NAICS code that we procure in. So if you're in that field, that line of service, please send me your capability statement. Let me know about you, what you do, because we want to do business with you. Additionally, it shows on there's some IT referenced. We purchase a little bit of that locally using the government purchase card. However, most of our IT supplies and services is done out of our Denver office. So if you're in that line of work, the person you want to reach out to is the small business specialist there in our Denver office. And his name is Gary Cooper, just like the actor. And his email is gcooper, so GCOOPER @usbr.gov. So that's the guy you want to talk to about IT. All right, next slide, please. All right, so we do buy construction, a little bit of new construction, but mostly it's repair, O&M of existing structures, which includes, of course, our dams, canals, waterways, that kind of thing. And I'll let you read through the list there. I do want to note here that coming up in fiscal year 2021 and 2022, we have 2 huge, very large construction projects, multi-million, if not near $1 billion, that will be out. So there are not going to be opportunities for small businesses, if you're in the construction field, to prime on these because they're going to be way too big for you to bond. However, there will be a lot of subcontracting opportunities. So kind of watch this space, watch our website, watch our forecast, watch Beta SAM for those opportunities to see who we select as the prime contractor or contractors. And then reach out to them, get in their vendor databases, get on their teams, because they also have small business goals that they need to meet. All right, next slide, please. Oh, and let me mention, I didn't even say the name of this project. The projects are, I'm sorry, you can just keep it here though. The construction projects to look for are the BF, which stands for Bernice Frederick Sisk Dam Safety of Dams, little repetitive there, but it's Safety of Dams Modification Project. That one, I believe we're pushing to 2022. But it is already forecasted. And then the other one, which will come out this next year, is the Friant-Kern Canal Middle Reach Capacity Correction Project. So if you're a small business in construction, look for those, look to see who we award to so that you can get on those teams as small businesses. All right, so on to commodities. Here's the list of commodities that we buy, again, not all inclusive. A lot of the commodities, especially if they're lower in dollar value, below 10,000, and then there's actually other breakdowns, and I'll go over those a little bit later. We purchase via the government purchase card, so a credit card. So if you're in this line of work and you sell these type of commodities, make sure you accept a government credit, or just accept a credit card. We take most credit cards. If you don't, you can also sign up for PayPal. And we do definitely work with PayPal to accept credit cards on your behalf. All right, next slide, please. All right, so this just gives you an idea of the top 10 NAICS codes. Those are those industry codes I mentioned that we procure in. As I mentioned, 541620 Environmental Consulting Services is there at the very top. On down the line, heavy civil construction would be next, and then, you know, going down. It's not to say that we don't procure in other NAICS codes. These are just the top 10 dollar value wise that we procure in, and that's based on a contract data report I pulled from Beta Sam for the last 4 years. So 2018 to 2020, is that, 3 years. All right, next slide, please. All right, so I talked about our goals. Now these are the Bureau of Reclamation's goals across the board. So we set the goal really high. If you're not familiar with small business goals, the small business goal across the board as set by the SBA is 23%. So we set ours very high at 48%. And in 2020, BOR knocked that out of the park at 54.33%. And you can see on down the line that exceeded all of the goals that BOR had set. Next slide, please. Okay, so these are California Great Basin's 2020 goals and accomplishments. And there again, you can see we really knocked it out of the park. So do a really great job of supporting small business. I do have to say that I mentioned those really big construction projects that are going to go to primes. Those are probably going to push our numbers. Well, they are. I shouldn't even say probably are going to push these numbers down for the next couple of years at least. Just because they're taking up a lot of our budget, and they're going to go to large businesses. So please, please, please look for those. Be a sub, sign up with those large vendors in their vendor databases and get on their teams. Okay, next slide. All right, so here are our BOR across the board, our 2021, which I know we're in. These are our proposed goals. Set at 50% versus the 48. We're still negotiating with the SBA to finalize these, but it's probably going to be 50%. So that's what we're set at. And we also have a subcontracting plans goal. As I mentioned, those big projects we have coming up. So we're going to hold our prime contractors to those subcontracting plan goals. All right, next slide. All right, so a little bit about our forecast. We posted on GSA's Acquisition Gateway. There's the hyperlink there. Again, you'll have direct access. To narrow it down, there's a method. And I'm going to show you, I hope, how to do this. I'll let you read through this. You'll have this to refer to. Can you go to the next slide, James, please? So here's the order. 1, you got to put in Department of the Interior. 2, go down to that section. At least put in the fiscal year. So 2021 would be the obvious one. You want to just look to this fiscal year, unless you want to project out. And for us, I am the one that posts these on our forecast, and we don't have anything out there for 2022 yet. So limit it to 2021. You can plug in a NAICS code if you'd like, and then go back up to the top to the keyword search box. Type in California Great Basin, just like that. No hyphen. We usually put a hyphen between California and Great, but don't hyphenate it. And then click on the little blue magnifying glass, and that will give you our list. So after you do that, and if you'd like to download it to an Excel spreadsheet, it's going to look something like this. I actually got rid of quite a few of the fields, but you can get an idea of what it would look like when you download it. And James, if we can, I know we talked about this. Let's see if we can do this. Go to that link, and I think I'm going to need to take control, or I can talk you through it. Either way, you let me know. I think we discussed maybe me taking control. But I'm not quite sure how to do that. Do you just want to do it, James, for me? It might make it easier. Okay, so
Sorry,
James.
I was having some trouble unmuting myself. Yeah,
Oh, okay.
I can grant you control if you'd like.
Okay, sure. Why don't you do that? Okay, well, while he's doing this, well, I'll show you. Not only do we DOI in total, but Department of Labor, GSA, all of us post our forecast here. So don't limit it to just BOR, to the Department of the Interior. Go to look at everybody's forecast. If you're a small business, see what they've got posted out here. Okay, tell me when I'm ready to roll.
Okay, I think you're ready to go.
So agency first. Okay, so you see there's the other. So we post a lot here, as you can see. So Department of the Interior, that's where we fall. I'm going to scroll down to the fiscal year. I'm going to put in 2021. And then I'm going to go back up. And again, you can put in your NAICS code if you want to limit it to just stuff that's in your industry. And that's probably the best idea anyway. Okay, let's make sure I don't fat finger this. FORNIA GBTBASIN. Okay, I think I spelled it right. I'm going to search. And it tells me I'm over filtered. I don't know why. I'm going to try it one more time. If it doesn't work, I promise you this works. So what it will do is it'll bring up a list of all our stuff, but let me just try it one more time. Yeah, I find sometimes if the window's been open and you don't go all the way out of it and come back in, it doesn't like it. Capitalize just for fun. Okay, fingers crossed. Yay. Okay, so what I just did is I brought up a list of all of our California Great Basin. I don't know if you guys can see my pointer over here. Everything that we have forecasted out in 2021. I'm just going to open it up and show you what one looks like. So you find the one you're interested in or the ones you're interested in, open it up to view the details. It will give you a title at the top, a short description, again, the information on which region it's out of, a NAICS code, what award status it's in. So it can be in the planning stage, the drafting solicitation stage, the solicitation stage. So planning means we're in the very preliminary stages. It hasn't even made it as a sources. Well, sources thought we could be drafting the solicitation, doing our market research. Sources thought, if you don't know, these are, this is a tool that acquisition folks, contracting officers, contracting specialists use, and they post them at Beta SAM, putting feelers out there to see if they can find enough small businesses to respond to the sources sought so that they can set it aside for small businesses. And they can set it aside for any one of the socioeconomic categories. So those would be 8A, hub zone, woman-owned, service-disabled, veteran-owned small business. And then, of course, if they can't find enough in any of those socioeconomic categories, it would go total small. So the point here is you got to respond to these. If you don't respond, they can't set them aside. All right. So planning phase, it gives you a range here of the estimated contract value. So you can see if your company has the capacity, is large enough to respond or to complete the project. So you want to pay attention to that. Which fiscal quarter we estimate that it's going to need to be awarded. And then sometimes, not always, the contracting specialist provides me with the estimated solicitation date, and I'll put that in there. When it gets to the solicitation phase, I'll go ahead and post a link to the solicitation, so it'll take you right to Beta SAM, so you can see it there. And then down here at the bottom, it'll talk about, and Mwang is one of our contract specialists, so you could reach out to Mwang and ask her where we're at in the planning cycle of this, when it's going to come out as a sources sought. Oh, I see here, there was a sources sought posted. So I added that down there. So there has been a sources sought Mwang put out, again, looking to see if she can set it aside for small business. So at this point, I probably need to go back in and update it. They're probably in the process of drafting the solicitation, which means it'll be put out on Beta SAM as a solicitation in the near future. So just, come in, pay attention to these, monitor our forecast on a whatever basis you seem fit, maybe weekly basis, just so you can see what's new out there and what has changed in the solicitations. I believe on Beta SAM, and James can correct me if I'm wrong, it's been a while, and actually it switched from FBO, FedBiz Ops, where you could save searches and get them dumped to your email for different industries and different areas, things you might be interested in, but now I think they took that away. So it's really on you as a small business to go and monitor these systems so that you can follow the opportunities, unfortunately. All right, I think I'm ready to go back. Now, do I need to do something? James?
I can handle moving it back 1 second.
You can, okay.
There we go.
Forecast, next slide. Okay, so the rest of this is just kind of federal contracting 101. Again, I mentioned Beta SAM. There's the hyperlink. This is where you should go to look for business opportunities. It is the single government point of entry, GPE, for all federal agencies. They must post their opportunities, any opportunity to Beta SAM that's over 25,000. BOR, we post anything over 15,000 there. So you can go find the smaller stuff there. Anything under that, it's not typically posted publicly. You can find out about opportunities by reaching out to me, and I can forward your capability statement information to maybe those folks that are government purchase credit card holders. I do have a vendor database, so I can also save it in the vendor database that's accessible by all of our acquisition staff as well as our area offices. So they can go when they're doing their market research, take a look in the database and see if there's any businesses in there that will meet their needs. I mentioned before subcontracting. We have some large contracts that will provide subcontracting opportunities in the construction industry. Other places you can go to look for subcontracting opportunities is at SBA Subnet. I would say just knowing what I know about Subnet, you're not going to find a lot of the larger opportunities that I'm speaking of. You'll find those other places, but you will find opportunities that it's almost like local, and James might be able to correct me, but more for local, like county, city, not necessarily state, those types of public work. So it's primes there that are looking to get subs on their teams. But that's another avenue for you. Let's see. Also, I mentioned, when you locate these primes that have won, these big, large contracts like ours, for example, go to their websites. Many of them require you to sign up to be a vendor. So sign up to be a vendor. A lot of them have a person that's much like me, a small business specialist. They're called the SBLO, the Small Business Liaison Officer, their diversity manager. You can market to them just like you would market to me in a federal agency. So those are just some hints and tips there on subcontracting opportunities. And as a small business, I have to say this, I would say it's equally, if not more important, especially if you're new, to dip your toe in the water of federal government contracting as a subcontractor. That way, you don't take on all the risk, the prime does. You're a sub to them. You do get experience in federal contracting, and you get past performance. So if you're new or if you're really small, it really is the way to go until you can build that capacity and that experience to where you can bid as a prime on a federal contract. Okay, next slide. Okay, doing business with federal agencies. So one of the things, okay, so federal contracting, it's hard. I'm just gonna put it out there. It is not for the faint of heart. As you can imagine, a lot of paperwork, a lot of red tape. You know, you've got to have past performance, which is kind of a catch-22. How do you get it if you can't, you know, do work for the government? And again, I mentioned subcontracting, or, you know, you can bid on small projects, get your foot in the door that way. But you need to before you know, put your hat in the ring, definitely consult with PTAC. I mean, that would be my first suggestion. But you want to figure out if you're even a good fit for federal contracting, and the PTAC can help you with this. You can go to BetaSAM. They have a contract data reports function, which actually used to be an FPDS, Federal Procurement Data System. And FPDS still has a search, easy search in there, but to be able to do ad hoc searches and more robust searches, they've moved it here into BetaSAM. But you can go in there, plug in some parameters, NAICS code would be a good one. I forget some of the other fields you can plug in. But anyway, just kind of plug it in and see who historically purchased what it is that you sell or you do. That's a good place to start. If you're not coming up with any hits, federal contracting maybe isn't a good space for you. You can also go to USA Spending. That's kind of a higher level reporting tool. I don't work with it much. And again, I think PTAC can help you dial all this in. So get with them to have them help you with this research. So you need to determine, do you have the experience? And it doesn't necessarily have to be federal. It could be other types of public works, state, local government. Do you have adequate cash flow? You got to have the money to float those contracts. You don't get paid right away once you win a contract. Do you have the inventory, if it requires that for the contract, the working capital? And if you're in construction, do you have the bonding to fulfill the contract? Because it is required in federal government contracting that you have bonding for a construction project. If the answer is yes to all of those, then you know, go forth from there. You can go to that website there, census.gov, define your products or services. Those are those NAICS codes I keep referring to. Plug in some keywords, a keyword, a key phrase, and then find your primary NAICS code. That is the industry where you earn the most revenue. And then you can have as many other NAICS codes as you can perform on. But you know, you need to be wary there that you're not putting everything in there saying, you know, you'll get calls, or I'll get calls from people, especially in the SBA, that want to do business with the federal government, but they don't even have a company. And so they're kind of fishing, saying, hey, what does the federal government need? Well, that's not the way it works. You need to have experience in that industry before you could be given a contract. Anyway, so have the experience, have the past performance, go in there, find your NAICS codes. Once you get your NAICS code, you need a DUNS number. And I think it's still with Dun & Bradstreet. It's going to move to, I forget who now, but you go get a DUNS number from Dun & Bradstreet. There's the link. You can also phone them. I think you can still do that to get your DUNS number. It is a free number. They may hit you up, say, hey, you need to buy our credit service in order to get your DUNS number, and you don't. So tell them, no, thank you. I just need my DUNS number to register in SAM. Once you have your DUNS number in hand and you've got your NAICS codes written down, you can go in and register in SAM.gov, System for Award Management. It does require the DUNS number. That's why you need that in hand first. So go through answering all the questions. The system determines if you're small or not based on the NAICS codes you put in there, and either your annual revenues, which you'll enter in there, average of 3 years, 3 or 5 years, I think it is now. You can put either or, 3 or 5 years average, and or the number of employees you have. The system determines if you're small or not based on the NAICS and those factors. And then you'll get to the end of the registration, and it'll show a page that says dynamic small, or it'll say, I'm sorry, what will it say? SBA supplemental page is what it's titled. And you're going to want to click on the little logo down at the bottom, the SBA logo that takes you into the dynamic small business search. And from there, you're going to enter in additional information about your business. And this is one of the places, this is where your SBA profile, if you've ever heard of anybody talk about an SBA profile, if you know what it is, this is one of the places where acquisition folks, contracting officers, specialists, one of the places they do go, and our folks do, to do additional market research. So you're going to want to make sure you have that filled out. It's a free marketing tool for you. Again, PTAC can help you with it to optimize it. And I have that there. Optimize your SAM and SBA profiles. Make sure you update them on a regular basis, especially if you gain a new capability or new past performance. You can put that in your SBA profile. Only place to access it, though, is through SAM. So when you want to go update your SBA profile in DSBS, you got to log back into SAM and click through all the pages until you get to that SBA supplemental page. But again, really key to keep that up to date, as well as your SAM profile. The federal government cannot do business with you if you don't have a SAM registration, SAM profile, and you don't update it on an annual basis. So keep that in mind. So after you've done all that, look to certifications, look to see what you're qualified for. I have the hyperlink there to the SBA's website. And so it'll give you more information on all these socioeconomic certifications. So that would be, as I mentioned earlier, 8A, which this is the Small Disadvantaged Business Program through the SBA. HubZone, woman-owned. Those three are formal certifications. You will have to apply for those through the SBA, and they have to qualify and certify you. You can self-certify as a service-disabled veteran-owned small business by just checking the box in SAM. However, if you want to do business with the Veterans Administration, and if you are an SDV OSB or a veteran-owned small business, you do want to do business with them. So you're going to want to go to their website and register to become a certified veteran enterprise. I think they're still calling it that. And I know the PTAC can help you with that as well. So that is a formal certification through the VA only, self-certification through SAM and the SBA. And then, of course, if you don't fit into any of those socioeconomic categories, you're still a small business if you qualify as a small business, and federal agencies set aside requirements, projects as total small business set-asides all the time. So it limits the pool. You're not competing against the big guys. So, you know, important to get into SAM-A. Can't do business with the feds unless you're in SAM. And then once you're in there, make sure you fill out your SBA profile in the dynamic small business search, look to see what you qualify for as a small business, and then start promoting yourself that way, marketing yourself that way. My last bullet there says accept government credit cards. And I touched on that earlier. If you don't already, you know, get with your bank, get with one of those companies that does credit card processing. You can sign up with PayPal. Let me see, let me go down to my notes. I wanted to give you some thresholds here. So actually, first point here is the federal government, you can just keep it there. The federal government, this is why you want to accept credit cards. The federal government procures billions of dollars, billions with a B, multi-billions of dollars using the government purchase credit cards. We purchase through credit cards. So there are some parameters, some thresholds there. For supplies and services, supply purchases and professional services that aren't subject to the service contract labor standards, anything under 10K, we can purchase on a credit card. Any service purchase that is subject to the service contract labor standard, it's $25,000. And then all construction that's subject to the construction wage rate requirement statute, which most of us know as the Davis-Bacon Act, that's $25,000. So a lot of those smaller dollar projects can be purchased on the government credit card, and we do a lot of procurement using the credit card. So I think I beat this to death, but accept a credit card or at least sign up for PayPal. All right, next slide. Okay, so marketing to federal agencies. You want to, first of all, identify who your customers are, who buys what you sell. And I mentioned Beta SAM, they have the contract data report. That's, you can go look up historical contracts. So which agencies bought in the past what it is that you sell. In that Beta SAM contract data reports, you could do a search on CGB, that's our office code there. And again, I'll bet the PTAC can help you with this. I'm not really good at that. I was great at FPDS and then they moved it over to Beta SAM. So I really haven't learned that as well. Again, I mentioned USA spending, higher level, you can go there and do some research. Do your homework, basically. So when you find out who your target agencies are, who buys what you sell, go to their websites, go to our website, look at our mission, see how we do business, see what our small business goals are. You guys saw that ours are very different than maybe what some other agencies are. They may just, do the bare minimum, the 23%, and see where we post our opportunities. That our forecast is at the GSA gateway, acquisition gateway. And of course, Beta SAM is where all agencies post, but BOR, we're a little bit different, where anything $15,000 and up we post. Where most agencies it's $25,000 and up. So learn about the agency that you're going to market to. Identify and build relationships with that agency's acquisition staff and with small business specialists like me. And I would suggest going to the small business specialist first, and see how that agency does business. I know for BOR, most of our branch chiefs, construction, our supply and services, and definitely our program offices, they want you to go through me first. So get a hold of me, send me your capability statement, and I will make sure it gets into the right hands, that the right people see it. And on down the line, if you want to schedule a capabilities briefing with me, I'll definitely entertain that. But yeah, just reach out to me, send me the capability statement first. I'll get that saved in our vendor database, and then we can kind of go from there. Also participate in procurement related events, activities, matchmaking events. With COVID and us all being virtual, it is being done just a little bit differently. CGB had a really big event, January 26th, that we did it virtually. All the program offices presented. So look at agencies' websites, see if they're having any virtual events. And then hopefully in the future, not too long in the future, we're going to be back in person and posting and hosting in-person events. So look to the websites, because you need to get to know the decision makers, acquisition staff at the different agencies. Because it is relationship based. Always has been, always will be. They need to get to know you, trust you, before they really feel comfortable awarding a contract to a small business, because it's the taxpayers' dollars that we have to that we're managing. So yeah, we have to trust that business. Let's see. Research federal agency requirements on the forecast. Where ours is. You can go to that acquisition.gov/procurement forecast link there. And all federal agencies should be listed there. Click on the link and drill down to see where they post their forecast. So you know that DOI, DOL, and GSA post to the GSA's acquisition gateway. Others may post or do post other places. It could be directly on their own websites or through another website. Look for federal opportunities on Beta SAM, not only solicitations, but also, I mentioned this earlier, look for sources sought and pre-solicitation notices and respond to those if you're capable, so that they can be set aside for small business. So really important there. They can't set them aside. We can't set them aside unless we get at least 2 qualified small businesses. It's called the rule of 2. Okay, next slide. All right, some more on marketing to prime, market to prime contractors. So not only should you market to federal agencies, but I've talked about this, I think, in great length. Market to the primes as well. There's that subnet again. If you're if one of the projects you're looking at has a DoD prime, all their DoD prime contractors are listed at that website. GSA, you can go to the GSA schedule, see who holds the GSA schedule, and market to them as a sub. Let's see, contact the primes. There's that SBLO I mentioned earlier, the Small Business Liaison Officer or Diversity Manager. If you're not finding that person on a prime's website, another place you can go is to that company's SAM profile and look under, there's a POC section, look under their government business POC, and that's typically the person you should be marketing to. And if it's not them, they can refer you. Again, visit Prime Contractors website, sign up as a vendor, and find their outreach events as well. Okay, next slide. Okay, so here, develop marketing materials, and there's where you can get some assistance. The PTAC, I've been mentioning the PTAC. So it sounds kind of obvious, but yeah, make sure your materials, your marketing materials are quality, and that you're updating them on a regular basis. There's the SBA profile I mentioned. Capability statement, if you don't know what that is, get with the PTAC, have them help you with the capability statement. That is something, that is the way you should be marketing to federal agencies, with this capability statement. And I think I might have a slide just to show you some things that can go on it. In addition to that, you can have a statement of qualifications. That's a much lengthier capability statement, if you will. A lot more about your company. That's something you might use as a capabilities briefing, as I mentioned there, when you get an audience with some contracting officers or even program offices. You may pull that out and give them a briefing. Obviously, you need your business cards. Right now, we're not really handing those out so much, but when we do go back to in-person events, have that stack of business cards, and then have a website. I mean, in this day and age, you should have a website. And there's a lot of places out there that you can get assistance at no cost. Some of SBA's resource partners, I think SCORE, maybe the Small Business Development Centers, they can help you with the websites at no cost. And then of course there's, some outfits out there that don't charge you much to put a website together. Again, get help if you need help. SBA is there, and of course the PTAC is there. And I can't say enough about PTACs. They're your go-to for government contracting, any government contracting, not just federal, but state, local. Down here in the area I live in, SMUD, which is one of the utilities, really utilize PTAC. They're a great resource. Okay, next slide. Okay, so there's capability statement. I'm not going to go over every bullet, but there's some ideas of what should go into one. Things of note, DUNS number. That's how we look up small businesses. In SAM is with your DUNS number, so it's got to be there. NAICS codes are really important. We use those for our market research, for identifying your industry. So put those on there. Just let you read through that real quick. And again, PTAC can help you put together a capability statement. And another little tip too is go out and Google. So say you're in environmental consulting, you're an environmental consultant. Just go out and Google capability statement for environmental consulting and see what comes up. So I wouldn't call it plagiarizing, but just kind of, look to see what other people are doing, and then find something that resonates with you, and, put together one that you like. Okay, next slide. All right, so there's more on your SBA profile in the Dynamic Self Business Search. Again, it's accessed via SAM. It's called the SBA supplemental page. There's going to be some pre-filled in information that's grayed out that you can't fill in that comes over from Sam. But here's some things that you do want to pay attention to. Keywords are mandatory, but definitely put those in. That's how when we are doing our market research and we go into the dynamic small business search, we plug in some keywords. And if one of your keywords is in your SBA profile, you're going to come up. Capabilities narrative, please fill that out. That tells a little bit about your business and what separates you from your competitors. Next slide. If you own or operate any special equipment, include that for sure. Bonding, if you're in construction, very important to include that. Past performance, put that in there. It's essential. If you don't have any, that's okay. You know, you're going to get some and you're going to add it. Yeah, if you're brand new and just starting out, again, if you don't, you know, look to be a sub. And you could even include subcontracting past performance in there. Just make it clear it is subcontracting, that you're a sub. Let's see. And then that's what when we pull up a dynamic small business search, that's typically what comes up. Those are the default fields. And what I'm trying to portray here is, see the first couple of businesses there, 1 and 2, they didn't fill out their capabilities narrative. So if I'm doing a search, if I'm a contract specialist or officer, or even me doing a search, and I come up with this list, I might overlook the first 2 because I kind of feel like they're really not serious about doing business with us. So I may skip them over and go to the other one. So important to fill out all that you can in your SBA profile. Next slide. All right, that's it for me. I want to thank you and thank James and the Norcal PTAC for allowing me to present this morning. And again, you should have my contact information, my email address. Please reach out to me if you have any questions and if you'd like to do business with BOR, California Great Basin region. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you so much, Kristen. We did have a request for your email address. Is it all right if I go ahead and post it in the chat?
Oh, sure. And I forgot about Q&A. Go for it.
We do have a nice Q&A coming up.
Okay.
Okay, I'll post that in the chat in a second. Once I bring it up, but I do want to talk about some of our upcoming events that we have. Like I said in the beginning, we're always doing webinars these days. We often partner with folks, for instance, today, and the future is no different. You can take a look at our calendar, but just to highlight a couple of them, if you have a woman-owned small business, you should be interested in the certification. That is on Wednesday, February 17th. We are also partnering with the County of Santa Clara to go over Introduction to Government Contracting. So if you're interested in that as well, February 24th. Looks like all of our webinars start at 10 a.m. for this round. And then if you're a small business or a disabled veteran business enterprise, you can take a look at the webinar we have on the 25th for marketing strategies for these kinds of business for California specifically. So go ahead, like I said, look at the calendar. We've got a lot of them upcoming. We're always updating it. So our website's a great resource for that and more. All right, we got some time for a Q&A here. Let's go ahead and open things up. I see some folks have posted things in the chat. It's a little bit hectic to try to manage the chat as well as the Q&A. So if you could please repost your question in the Q&A, then we can all follow along together. First question comes from Carolyn Bouchard, who asks, do you have a need for interpretation or translation services?
Carolyn, thanks for the question. We currently do not, just based on our forecast, but that's not to say we wouldn't need it in the future. I do know one that's similar to that. If you do this closed caption CART, I forget what CART stands for. If you probably know, if you're in that business, we do have one of those posted to our forecast right now, so you can go look for that. But that's the closed caption interpretation, I guess you want to call it. Not really familiar with it, but it's CART. So go look to our forecast, and if that is something that you're capable of doing, then we do have that there. If not, just keep looking to our forecast. And again, don't limit it to just us. go look at other agencies, forecasts, and go to Beta SAM, plug in the NAICS code for interpretation, and see what you come up with.
Okay, thank you. And I've just put Kristen's email address in the chat there, so go ahead and take a look. Mauricio is wondering, do you have any 8A goals in the future?
Hi, Mauricio. Thanks for the question. BOR, we do not have an 8A goal per se. However, we do have a small disadvantaged business goal, as if you remember from our goal slide. So we fulfill the SDB with 8A, but as you can see, we do track 8A set aside, 8A sole source, and we do very well in that category. So for the future, I don't know. I believe it's a DOI policy as to why we don't have an 8A goal per se. But again, we fulfill that through the small disadvantaged business goal. James, you're on mute.
We don't have any more questions in the Q&A here, so please do enter some, but I will just take one from the chat. Just this once, because I'm nice. I'm a sole woman-owned consulting innovative science application, helping in technology and nanotechnology development. I'm working with Caltech and other academic institutions. One of my projects involves a development of water purification system. Would that project fit in with your area of interest?
Ooh, okay, so that's it. This is a very good question. Don't know the answer off the top of my head. Water purification. Again, I'm going to say, go to our forecast, see if there's anything there that's in your line of work. Do some research there. Do some research on our website. There's the slide with the links to our program offices, our area offices. Go and do some research there and see if that any of those have a need for water purification systems. And then you can get with me afterwards and I can do some research too. It's just something I don't know off the top of my head.
Sure, thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Ruby asks, who's the best person to contact for innovative solutions such as predictive maintenance for turbines and pumps using IoT technology?
Again, I'd answer it the same way. I don't know off the top of my head. Look at our forecast, look at the program offices. That is something I'm trying to find is that in the chat or in the Q&A?
That was in the Q&A.
Okay, let me go back.
From Ruby Sarda.
Because this is definitely something we have pumps and turbines for sure. But innovative solutions, probably predictive or preventative maintenance. Yeah, that's something I know that we have a need for. So look at our forecast. Get with me after. I'll put you in touch, or I'll forward your information to the appropriate program office and probably supply and services branch chief. Okay.
Okay. Yeah, if anyone has any questions that aren't answered yet in this, you can go ahead and send it to me or to Kristen. So thank you, Ruby. Rocco is wondering, first of all, saying thank you. Thanks, Rocco, for joining. What role does the quick phone call, so for instance, saying, hello, may I send you my capability statement, play in today's version to telemarketing? So that's a good question.
Okay, and I actually don't. Okay, so wondering the real quick phone call.
So when is it people don't like getting telemarketed, getting bothered by phone and email? How do you navigate that when you're trying to market yourself with your capabilities?
Gotcha. Here, so the way BOR operates, and right now, and a lot of this is because of the pandemic, and we're all working from home. We prefer emails. All right, so the best thing for you to market to me, to BOR, would be to email me versus a phone call. And honestly, if you call my phone number, my office phone number, it's going to roll to my personal cell phone, which I'm not going to pick up because it might be a telemarketer. So best thing to do is reach out to me via email with your capability statement. I will always follow up. And then if we want to take it further and have a capabilities briefing, we can set one up. You know, we can have the phone call. But I would start with that email, and not to say that other agencies are going to respond to an email, but I can speak for myself, and that's the way I like to be marketed to.
Perfect. It's good to have that insider information. Isabella asks, would you co-fund with the EPA for a water purification system?
Yeah, and Isabella, I have no idea. Again, we can take that offline and I can try to find an answer out for you.
Perfect. Once again, you have Kristen's email address in the chat, as well as it's going to be on the slides as well, I believe, right? Looks like someone's, we have a thanks, and then we have a request for a contact, but do we have any other questions someone wants to enter into the chat here? All right, well, I think that's about it then. Thank you so much, everyone, for joining. And of course, thanks, Kristen, and the BOR. We really appreciate being able to have good partners like you guys. And thanks for putting in a good word for us as well. Like I said, our services are totally free. We can help you market yourself to the BOR. And we look forward to working with all of you again in the future. Hope you have a good rest of your day. And look out for that email with the slides and the video later today. Oh, one more thing. When you leave, when I end this webinar, you will be directed towards a page that have a Google Docs link. That is our satisfaction survey. It does make a difference for us. You can fill it out in about 30 seconds anonymously if you'd like. Just let us know how we did. Makes a big difference for us as well as our funder. We want to keep getting better and better at what we do. So that would be greatly appreciated. And I hope to see you at the next webinar. Thanks, everyone.